上年我哋舉辦咗一個百變小櫻嘅展覽，都做到接近1000萬港幣。我哋每一年個營業額係以倍數遞增嘅。我哋除咗亞洲城市之外，都會開始我哋嘅歐洲同埋美國嘅巡迴。策展嘅過程係艱辛嘅，大型少少嘅展覽為期以上係基本。我好相信動漫呢個影響力會帶起一個全球嘅經濟。
Japanese anime is making waves in Hong Kong's property market. For years, anime in Hong Kong has been seen as a popular subculture, probably not one capable of long-term economic growth, but that has changed. Last year, Bandai's Hong Kong distributor, home to Gundam, Tamagotchi, and Pac-Man, among other iconic IPs, bought property in Admiralty and Central for 390 million Hong Kong dollars, while a Hong Kong Pokemon distributor acquired a whole building for 208 million Hong Kong dollars. On the big screen, Japanese blockbuster Demon Slayer Infinity Castle became the 15th highest grossing film in Hong Kong history, earning 97.6 million Hong Kong dollars in 2025 and securing the top spot at the Hong Kong box office that year. It's clear that anime in Hong Kong is taking root in a new and different way. But why? And how? In this video, we talk to industry experts like Sion Yip, the founder and CEO of Incubate Studio, a company introducing Japanese anime IPs to Hong Kong through immersive experiences. And we also hear from John Siu, managing director of Cushman & Wakefield Hong Kong, to explore how Japanese anime made its mark on commercial real estate in Hong Kong and where it will go from here. To analyze its impact, we must first unpack this question. What is the anime economy? The anime economy refers to a comprehensive industrial ecosystem built around anime, comics, games, and novels. This is ACGN. This includes everything from merchandise, mobile games, to exhibitions and cosplay. But when did it start making money? In the 1990s, a new working framework came through. To share the risks of high production costs, publishers, record labels, toy companies, and advertisers formed multiple committees, laying the groundwork for the IP economy. Today you'll find your favorite IPs teaming up with a restaurant, displayed on everyday products, or all over Disney Plus and Netflix, turning anime mainstream. Hong Kong love for Japanese anime persists to this day. According to Rosanna Law, Secretary for Culture, Sports and Tourism, IP-related events drew over 5 million visitors in 2024, while game and toy registration applications surged by 90% over 2 years. Its popularity is due to several reasons, the biggest one being sentimental value. Let's hear from Sion Yip, the founder and CEO of Incubate Studio, a cultural anime hub and entertainment experience producer and curator who's also a longtime anime lover.
本人絕對係一個非常之喜歡動漫嘅人啦，都係個宅男。我差啲講咗其實某程度上，我哋嘅行業都講緊一種情緒價值啦。記得有一個字叫做本命啊嘛。我覺得我同嗰個角色有一種好強嘅聯繫，表現咗個自我，表達自己中意嗰個作品嘅情緒，覺得我自己個本命就係呢個角色啦。That's why 啲人就會出 cos 啊。相對地，佢當然會購買呢個角色嘅周邊，再通過一個展覽勾起佢嘅消費力嘅衝動。
The rise of limited edition products with their scarce quantities created exclusivity, causing sky-high resale prices. As such, the business model for IP-themed products also contributed to its success. For instance, in February, Logan Paul sold the holy grail of Pokemon cards, the only Illustrator card rated as a grade 10 by the authentication agency PSA, for 16.492 million US dollars, around 129 million Hong Kong dollars, making it the most expensive trading card ever auctioned. This reflects the growing demand for exclusive collectibles and leads to the next point. Collectibles like cards or blind boxes flood the brain with dopamine when you unbox them due to the suspense you get before opening them. And like the psychology of gambling, it drives people to continue getting that dopamine hit. And these blind boxes can be sold at affordable prices too, positioning them as impulse buys. This echoes the lipstick effect, which suggests that during economic downturns, people skip expensive items and turn to small luxuries like blind boxes that allow them to maintain a sense of joy and normalcy amidst financial uncertainty. Ultimately, anime as an art form evolved in depth.
我亦都好相信同動漫嘅維度好有關係。比起以前早期嘅所謂嘅卡通片，簡單直白嘅程度，啲人亦認為睇卡通片冇益比較小朋友啦。到而家大家知道動漫呢一樣嘢，慢慢轉變咗係有深度啦。不管係個畫面啦，佢嘅創作嘅理念啦，佢背後嘅故事啦，其實越嚟越接近一個電影級嘅作品。咁所以令大家對呢樣嘢嘅喜愛嘅程度就越嚟越深，討論度越嚟越高。咁其實就會慢慢形成咗一種新嘅經濟效能。
Sion himself has had plenty of experience in Hong Kong's anime and IP industries, having set up Incubase in 2021. He has more than 200 IP-based projects under his belt and works closely with Japanese IP distributors.
我哋每一年個營業額係以倍數遞增嘅。
Since January of 2025, at their new venue in Mongkok, they've organized 8 immersive exhibitions and around 40 pop-ups and similar events with steadily positive results. So how do they make money?
No matter 係個 exhibition 嘅 shop 定係 Incu shop 啦，或者成個 Incubase Arena， 我諗佔咗60%係商品，4成係 ticket 嘅收入。我哋主力有2個 key 嘅 business model 啦，一個就係一個 B to B， 一個比較 B to C 啦。B to B 就係我哋會將我哋嘅展覽帶到去唔同嘅城市，然後同當地嘅人去合作。另外一個比較 B to C 嘅就係我哋會直接舉辦展覽，喺觀眾嘅購票啦、產品啦獲得盈利。
Despite Hong Kong's reputation as a global business hub, finding a venue to kickstart Incubase was a challenge.
當初我哋要揾呢個地方去做 Incubase Arena 都非常之唔容易。第一，大家都知道香港地方啊租金都比較高啦，仲要我哋對於個空間嘅尺寸有一定嘅要求，咁就更加唔容易。
One challenge they faced, and are still addressing, is that Hong Kongers were overall less willing to pay for a ticketed exhibition compared to other places with more developed exhibition ecosystems, partly because it wasn't as common in Hong Kong. Stacked up against other places, Hong Kong's anime economy was still in the early stages.
其實香港係冇乜呢個收費展嘅文化，喺日本喺台灣已經盛行咗好多年，啲觀眾都好願意花錢去睇展覽。點解香港做唔到呢樣嘢呢？第一冇呢個習慣啦，其次就係好多免費嘅嘢，大家就覺得咦點解睇展覽要俾錢嘅呢？
If you thought that was where it ended, nope, this is just the first step in the beginning of the journey to securing an IP license from Japanese anime distributors before marketing and operational logistics. Here's the typical process.
策展嘅過程係艱辛嘅，看似一個簡單嘅展覽，其實喺後邊嘅準備功夫其實非常之長。如果規模比較細嘅，有機會可能半年9個月；比較大型少少嘅展覽，講緊為期1年到1年半以上係基本，咁甚至乎3年。或者以上更長嘅時間。首先由做一啲唔同嘅市場調查啦，決定到底我哋對邊一個 IP 係有信心、有潛力，然後到我哋要去同日本公司討論啦。日本授權嘅審批係非常之嚴格嘅，我哋到底想點做，點樣達到一個雙贏嘅地方啦？除咗要有新鮮感啦，但係亦都唔可以偏離個作品本身。
As an example, Sion outlined the process of securing an IP license for the Masked Rider Kuga 25th Anniversary Exhibition, which was ongoing at the time of filming.
由當日本嘅授權方通知我呢個展將會發生嘅時候呢，大概係1年半到2年前嘅事情啦。咁我本人亦都過咗去東京場啦、大阪場啦，我都去睇咗啲細節。去了解展覽嘅內容啦，因為呢個展係由日本主導做出嚟，究竟去海外我哋應該要帶啲咩走啦，加啲咩嘢落去啦。其實成個過程嚟講，差唔多1幾2年前都走唔甩。日本公司好講求信任，首先佢要睇下你公司有冇咁嘅能力，對呢個 IP 呢個行業嘅熟知程度有幾多啦。其次佢都會睇下你過去嘅 track record 啦，究竟你過去嘅作品出嚟嘅效果係點呢？佢哋係一條直線嘅工作嚟，佢唔希望來來回回，佢係希望諗清楚先至 next step。喺個過程裏邊，超過一半嘅時間放咗喺討論同埋規劃裏邊。
The hardest part, according to Sion, is getting the OK.
譬如我哋做一個動漫嘅作品，佢會有原作者啦、出版商啦、動畫製作，最後仲有動畫製作委員會啦，裏邊可能涉及幾十個 parties。咁我諗呢個位係最跨關啦。如果就算3個得，有一個唔得，我哋都要改過。咁你可以想像下嗰個程度係點樣。
Another issue was the company's constant renovations. Despite the lower rental fees, the arena's rent for the whole year comprises around 30% of their business expenses, surprisingly a standard number considering the business's high costs.
我哋個成本高嘅原因係，我哋每1-2個月都做一次裝修，每2個月就換一個展，我又要閉館1-2個禮拜，又要重新做過晒所有嘢，咁所以其實我哋所謂嘅 variable 同埋個 operational 嘅 cost 裏邊係非常之高。
However, these high costs, which include licensing, production, marketing budgets, and new operational employees, as well as Japanese merchandise, lead to added pressure to perform. While Sion concedes that Hong Kong rents are certainly higher than those of other places, he adds a caveat.
租金嚟講，香港係高，但係又未至於完全接受唔到，因為佢有翻一個好處就係香港人嘅消費力比較高。用馬來西亞嚟做一個比例啦，馬來西亞個租金成本係比香港便宜好多啦。咁但係調翻轉個消費力亦都係相對低，所以其實相輔相成一啲嘢。咁其實你都會遇到嗰個問題。
Apart from greater spending power, another strength for Hong Kong is its proximity to mainland China, tapping into a market.
以我哋嘅觀察，其實我哋每一個展裏邊都有一定程度嘅百分比係內地嘅觀眾。第一，我哋呢個地段都係一啲內地嘅朋友會比較容易 access 得到嘅。第二，其實我哋嘅展覽體驗咧都未必喺內地有機會有嘅。咁所以對於佢哋嚟講有一定嘅吸引力。
In fact, Incubate Studio looks to be on an upward trajectory. However, there's still work to be done.
我好相信日本動漫過去到將來應該會對新一代咧影響都好大。由過去呢幾年動漫比較次文化啦，未必係咁大眾。到今日你去到每一個國家，每一個小朋友，佢都會講緊啲佢自己中意嘅動漫。我好相信呢個影響力會帶起一個全球嘅經濟，所以我哋好決心將我哋主要嘅業務放返喺日本動漫。
So what kind of space is Incubate's arena? We entered the hub on the day of shooting and Sion gave us a tour. What's the total square footage of the entire Incubate arena?
It's about 20,000 square feet in the total space, including the B1 and B2.
And how about the exhibition area on B2?
In the B2 is about 10,000 square feet.
因為香港要揾一個有咁樣嘅尺碼嘅地方，真係唔係咁容易。我哋揀去旺角原因就係我哋希望喺每一個地方咧都揀翻一個動漫嘅集中地啦。咁香港唔使講，我相信會係旺角啦。咁啱聯絡到廖創興 offer 咗一個咁嘅地方俾我哋，佢哋亦都對動漫對我哋公司咧非常之有信心。咁就大家一拍即合啦，不如我哋嚟試下啦。雖然呢度唔係一個地鋪或者同我哋過往喺商場裏邊有少少唔同，佢係一個叫做一個 independent 嘅地方。咁我哋又覺得呢度側邊嘅配套亦都真係唔錯。
Interestingly, ceiling height also played a part. They can't be too tall or too short.
其實樓高影響到我哋做展嘅 limitation， 有好多展都相對控制個樓高，冇個要求咁大，因為唔單止香港，其實都唔係每個地方都有啲咁誇張樓底嘅展覽。尤其是我哋嘅模式係，如果要轉得咁快咁密咧，太高亦都唔係一個好 friendly 嘅一個做法。
At the end of the exhibition was a strategically placed retail point for visitors to purchase a memento of their time there.
Sometimes we're holding some pop-up store and some new IP when we have some product release. For example, we try to put it more close to the entrance to attract some of the people just walking outside and getting in to check around and see if they would like to buy some new stuff in here. So we would sometimes try to separate a different zone and different theme. And for example, during the different season, we will have some seasonal area to buying some themed ideas, like is it mostly the love story, horror. We will keep changing.
A standout section is the card station, one of the shop's many interactive elements.
Nowadays, the trading card is very popular. Everywhere they will have some shop or space, people is just playing and sharing their trading card. Of course, our incubators also have this area to doing something like that. We will also try to hold some competition with the trading card to engage more fans, to attract some of the card collector to come and share and play and interact with each other. We believe that the trading card is a part of Japanese anime pop culture.
So IncuShop manages physical merchandise retail. But in an era where online shopping reigns, what purpose does a physical space serve?
其實我哋而家都有個 e-commerce 嘅 platform，但係我哋冇擺太多嘅資源落去。somehow 其實同我哋而家做緊嘅嘢有少少 conflict 嘅。我哋好希望佢可以好 physical 去體驗嗰樣嘢，甚至乎我哋有試過擺喺 e-commerce。佢哋調翻轉，喂，我想落嚟睇一睇先至決定買唔買。咁所以其實喺而家呢一刻個 business 仍然係好 physical， 仍然係好希望嗰班人係落嚟觸碰到，同隔離談論，跟住可以好實在咁帶翻屋企。
In a remarkable turn of events, anime, once seen as a solitary activity enjoyed at home, has now brought people from all generations and walks of life together under the same roof, forming unlikely and meaningful connections.
其實講真，每一個展都有唔同類型嘅觀眾入場。譬如我哋而家舉辦緊嘅 Kamen Rider 啦，當然係男性嘅佔比一定會比較多，都要睇下呢個 Kamen Rider 係邊一個時期播出。我冇記錯係90年代播映緊啦，咁你就睇翻嗰排係咩年紀嘅小朋友啦。咁到今日應該係 around 30零40歲到呢個 age。咁但係有陣時就好得意嘅，佢會帶嗰啲小朋友嚟睇啦，佢會帶佢嘅女朋友嚟睇啦。
Now, anime and IP-based events are sweeping the city, as Sion mentioned that there was one anime event nearly each month since the start of 2026. Incubate Studio itself is rapidly expanding, with Incubate's arena in Jeju soon to become its largest venue yet. Later this year, the company will be setting its sights beyond Asia.
至今我哋已經巡迴咗10個唔同嘅城市，都由今年2026年開始咧，我哋除咗亞洲城市之外，都會開始我哋嘅歐洲同埋美國嘅巡迴。我哋嘅目標係將我哋自家創作嘅展覽帶到全個地球啊！
2 years after Incubase Studios' establishment, 3 huge floors of Silver Cord Mall in Teamstachoi were rented for $7 million a month for immersive experiences based on huge Japanese anime IPs like Demon Slayer, and post-pandemic, this was the biggest retail sale for a central location. Anime, one of the biggest Japanese anime goods retail companies, returned to Hong Kong in Mongkok's TOP shopping mall, while Kai Tak's Airside hosted over 40 IP-based activities. Its bigger outdoor events helped generate foot traffic with a 35% yearly increase and 25% boost in business. So in light of the positive reception towards Japanese anime-themed events, is it still possible for Hong Kong to develop a strong anime economy? According to John Siu, Managing Director of Cushman & Wakefield Hong Kong, it is.
我相信係得嘅，咁同埋香港有樣好嘅地方咧，就係對於一啲外國或者本地嘅嘢，只要係有新鮮感咧，其實年輕一代個接受程度好高嘅，而且個反應好快嘅。我會覺得有潛力同時間有多元文化嘅接受度咧，肯定得嘅。
But there's a caveat. He added that how long anime pop-ups or stores are allowed to lease would be up to individual developers.
即係爭咗一樣嘢，就係好多香港嘅業主對於呢一類型嘅嘢咧，佢哋會唔會覺得潮流嘅嘢嚟嘅啫？可能好短壽命得幾個月，對於個商場裨益係咪好大咧？係咪可以持續到譬如話3年嘅租約咧？咁我諗呢一樣嘢係業主方面考慮嘅地方。
So what do you think? Will Hong Kongers' love of anime be enough to overcome practical limitations, or will it give way? Leave your thoughts in the comments.
Thank you so much to Sion for sharing his valuable insights with us, as well as Incubase for lending this space to us this morning. It was so much fun to do a deep dive into the Japanese anime economy in Hong Kong. For all kinds of homes, be sure to visit the Squarefoot app or website, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!